Welcome back, everyone. Hope that networking session was fruitful and relaxing a bit. And even this panel is going to be pretty free-flowing. And I just want to assure you before we start that we do have countries represented by their diplomatic leadership present in this country. And we have the panel discussion for close to 75 minutes from now. And we would also have a Q&A at the end of panel discussion. So what I'll do right now is introduce the panel and request our panelists to take the stage while I call their names. Maybe while I'm introducing the panel itself, it's good to have the panelist on the stage so that you could relate to the conversation that we are going to have. The panel is a featured panel with key partner countries, and it's on the theme of expanding the contours of international engagement for technology partnerships. And it would be broad-based, but at the same time with specific, let's say, ideas that need to come out in terms of the countries that is represented in this panel. So we have from Government of India, Dr. Ramaswamy Bansal, Chief Scientist and Head of International S&T Affairs Directorate, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR. Whichever way you feel comfortable with. Thank you. And then we have UK represented by His Excellency Chandru Iyer, His Majesty's Deputy Trade Commissioner for Investment for South Asia and Deputy High Commissioner for United Kingdom to Karnataka and Kerala. Thank you for joining, His Excellency Chandru. Then we have Her Excellency Minister Councillor Carly Patridge, representing Australia in this panel, coming from Australian High Commission in India. Please sit down. We have His Excellency Alfonso Tagliaferri, hope I pronounce it right, joining us representing Italy, Consul General of Italy in Bengaluru. We also have Dr. Soren Tranberg Hansen, the Deputy Head of the Mission and Science and Innovation Council, representing Innovation Center Denmark, as well as Consulate General of Denmark in Bengaluru, and also the attached office of Delhi for Denmark. Dr. Soren, please. I have the pleasure of moderating this panel. I would seek your forgiveness if I try to go overboard, but do stop me if I actually ask something that you don't want to answer. We will move on from there. But before I also take my seat along with you on stage, I would like to spend a minute explaining the theme of the panel, expanding the contours of international engagement for technology partnerships. As it self-explains, but at the same time, we want to also bring in some focus to the topic itself. The technology partnerships, the kind of partnerships in the inaugural session that we heard, and also in the keynote by Deputy NSA Ambassador Pavan Kapoor that we heard, that it has different tone and nature to it. Some are based on cooperation, some are based on elevating the partnership to a strategic level, some are based on propelling the sustainable technology partnership among the countries, and some also are based on people-to-people connect using science and technology. So all those spectrums of science and technology partnerships is something that we would like to touch upon in this panel, but with specific examples of the countries represented in this panel. And certainly there are higher level ambitions that are laid out for certain countries and bilateral and multilateral engagements with the countries represented in this panel, as well as with the countries participating in this room. So we will try to touch upon those as well, just to give a glimpse on what it could lead to in terms of actionable insights through this panel. So with that, I'll take my seat and I'll take you also through the flow of the conversation from my seat. That will help me actually to not get so nervous. So the flow of the panel would be, we would have introductory remarks of 4 to 5 minutes by each of the panelists about the technology engagements that they are having with India and the perspectives that they have to present to this larger audience. And then we'll go into the segments for another 30 minutes. Then we will have it free-flowing as a conversation with our delegates in this room. With that, let me request the Consul General of Italy to begin with. That's a curveball, I think. Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, distinguished guests, Professor Rangarajan, Dr. Somnath. I'm very happy to be here because this place symbolizes better than any other place, I would say, in Bangalore, the relationship that Italy has with India in terms of technology. The ISS has more than 25 years old strong partnership with one of the Center of Excellence of Italy, which is in the northeast of Italy, bordering Austria and Slovenia. If you know more or less how Italy is done, there is this city called Trieste, Trieste in English, which is on the northeast. And Trieste has a cluster of very advanced technology centers. There is the Elettra Synchrotron, which, I mean, you should explain to me what a synchrotron is, but basically is a powerful big machine that accelerates light in the way that you can study materials better than with the naked eye. There is a Center for Physics. There is the ICGEB, which is a biotechnology center. There is a CISA. There are 4 or 5 centers which not only represent the peak of technology in their respective sector, which is mostly physics and biotechnology, but also from the start they opened up to international collaboration. So they became centers that welcome and encourage the partnership with any other countries from Asia, from Africa, from South America, from the US, to come and use the facility that we have. And India in particular contributed with the minds and with also funds, because we have every year tens of scientists that move from ISS to Trieste. This year we had 100, and since we started we have more than 1,000 that came from India. Plus India contributed to the setup of 2 important laser technology machines. So again, I'm happy to. Usually we start saying I'm happy to be here, but particularly I am because this place really testifies what we have in place. In general, I mean, again, I'm not a technician, but Italy attach a strong role to partnership in technology with India. The technology, let's say, head capital of India is Bangalore. And it's not by chance that we opened a new consulate general in Bangalore just last year to, again, testify with facts beyond words the importance that we attach to the south of India, to Bangalore, to technology, and all that Bangalore brings with it, which is ISRO, which is ISS, which is IIM, and all the Center of Excellences that Bangalore have. We have a scientific attaché in Delhi, which is here today, Professor Sergio Ledda, but we will soon also have a scientific attaché in Bangalore that will come, and I will push him to come and knock all your doors to bring our partnership further. Please let me know when the 5 minutes have gone. I'm trying to be less boring as possible. Then, again, I don't want to make a list of the collaborations. I mentioned ICGAB, which is also a very good example because it has the headquarters are in Trieste again, but it has 3 legs. One is in Delhi, open since 40 years with a strong contribution, particularly in the vaccines and biotechnology, and one in Cape Town, where I also had the chance to be posted before. So it's interesting to have touched all the 3 legs of the ICGAB. But then we collaborate on, of course, the typical energy transition, hydrogen. We have a good collaboration here in Bangalore with Christ University and Unitrento for green hydrogen, in particular for using the electrolyzers to purify polluted water. You know, when you create hydrogen, you split the water molecule, and when there are antibiotic residues in the water or things like this, with the splitting, we also split the antibiotics and the water can be cleaned. But we have, so from the software part to the hardware part, for example, just a few weeks ago, an Italian company docked in Mumbai a new strong cable that from Italy brings internet data to India to, I think it's 128 terabyte per second, if I remember correctly. It's called Blue Raman. And the company is Sparkle. So it's called Blue Raman because blue is the Mediterranean part of the segment that we hope is still blue as the sea, and Raman is the Indian part, of course, from the mythology of India and Rama. We can mention mobility. We can mention collaboration in agri-food. Again, I don't want to make a long list. Maybe
I'll certainly come to those
I
specific
started from
sectors.
maybe a different point of view. But
No, perfect. Thank you so much, Consul General, for that remark. I would like to also pose it as a question and then now ask Minister Councillor from Australia to give her opening remarks in terms of how Australia sees its technology partnership with India, not just at bilateral level, but also in terms of aligning for many of the minilaterals and multilaterals. If you could touch upon that in your opening remarks, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Sound okay? Yes? Okay, thank you. Namaskar. It's lovely to be back in Bengaluru. I'm usually based in Delhi, and I'm usually thinking about technology from a foreign policy perspective. So being in a place where the real innovation is done and the real spark is done is really very fitting for this talk. I'd like to just thank OPSA, MEA and IISC also for hosting this fabulous inaugural dialogue. So I might just start at the absolute top, which is Australia and India have really never been closer than we are now, and that manifests in a range of ways. We are very strategically aligned. We have a really significant economic complementarity in our relationship, and also we have what we tend to call the human bridge. And a quick stat, about 1 million Australians are of Indian origin, and I always say I appreciate in an Indian context that doesn't sound terribly large, but in an Australian context, that's around 1 in 25. And it's a very, very significant part of our national identity and one which we benefit from every day. So just focusing a little more narrowly then on technology, our partnership in critical and emerging technologies is fundamental to our partnership, and I would say continues to grow in the level of importance of our partnership. Wanted to just group a couple of themes. I'll try also not to go over my 5 minutes, but just wanted to make a few remarks grouping into a few themes. And the first theme is research and development. As you'll appreciate, and as some of you are directly engaged in, the development and the deployment of technology starts with research. The Australian government's oldest and largest bilateral research fund is with India. It's the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund. It's funded more than 150 research partnerships, 20 of which have been with the IISC. We'd like to acknowledge that. And next year will mark 20 years of that bilateral fund. For innovation that's closer to market readiness, we have recently introduced an accelerator program, Australia-India Rapid Innovation Startup Expansion Accelerator. You can tell we started with the acronym RISE and worked backwards in coming up with that title. But that supports startups, small to medium enterprises that are considering overseas expansion to either market. I also think a lot, and this was touched on in the earlier remarks about our civil space sectors, they're about the same age. With respectively vibrant startup ecosystems. And I was delighted to hear that the IISC's own Centre for Nanoscience and Engineering is partnering with the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, and I did have to practice this, to manufacture photonic chip optical frequency combs at nanoscale, which sounds awfully impressive. It's a wonderful example of partnership between our institutions that's going to have a direct and really concrete impact on our civil space sectors. Talk a little bit about people. We routinely see excellent Australians such as Professor Andrew White, who's here in Bengaluru, participating in discussions like tomorrow's on quantum. We have a constant stream of visitors going both ways. We have trade delegations who forged partnerships via conferences like BTS here in Bengaluru. We have an Indian delegation we're welcoming at the Quantum Australia Conference in Brisbane in March of this year. And we have Australia-India Cyber and Critical Technology Partnership Policy delegations. One coming to India next month is focused on inclusivity by design in artificial intelligence in healthcare. touch on industry, the enabling environment. Again, we had a lot of discussion about that earlier, particularly in the Deputy NSA's remarks around the concreteness of what we're trying to achieve. And this enabling environment is really powered by CEO forums in a lot of different contexts in Australia. I'll also mention policy dialogue and governance. There's been some really good discussion about ethical frameworks and other components of governance today. And that's something we're very focused on. We've recently launched a 1.5 track, the Australia-India Strategic and Technology Policy Initiative, and those sorts of frameworks as well as broader considerations around our strategic relationship on technology are part of that program. I'll just finish quickly. We are celebrating our 5th year of our comprehensive strategic partnership between Australia and India this year in 2025. So it's clear to me that we have a really strong and focused strategic technology relationship. But of course, this year is an opportunity to even further embed those habits of cooperation and sharing and to work really closely together. You asked me to also touch a little bit on the bilateral, minilateral and multilateral. I think that's right, yes. So I guess for us it's interlocking and mutually reinforcing. We have an excellent bilateral relationship with India. I won't dwell anymore on that. I've just stepped through some of the key points of that. But obviously for us, the Quad is a vital and enduring partnership. We've seen foreign ministers meeting recently in Washington. And there's really important lines of effort there on cyber, critical and emerging technologies and infrastructure that allows us to have a sort of a force multiplying effect beyond what any of those bilateral relationships may be able to achieve on their own. And of course, in a multilateral context with organisations like the UN, but others as well, what we have is an amazing framework for discussing norms. And in the case of Australia, you know, we are very focused on working together on an open, stable, prosperous Indo-Pacific and broader globe. And all of those interlocking pieces enable us to succeed better than any individual component. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Consular. Now I request Excellency Chandru Iyer to talk about the UK's partnership with India, not just limited to technology, because TSI is something that Deputy NSA also mentioned, but of course you would also talk about. But I would like to add a little more nuance to it in terms of evolution of the technology partnership with India for UK. Thank you.
Thank you, Chagun. I'm absolutely delighted to be here this evening. Ideally, my High Commissioner should have been here, and she sends her apologies, both in her role as the High Commissioner of the United Kingdom to India, but also as the former CEO of the National Cyber Security Agency. She would have been the perfect fit for this, but instead you have me here. And not a bad replacement as an electronics engineer and somebody who has worked in the world of semiconductors and the world of consulting before a lateral hire happened for me, and I'm in the world of diplomacy here in Bengaluru, and I'm not complaining at all. It's been 2 years into the role, and one thing I observed while being in Bangalore over the last couple of years is this, that technology is that very backbone and fulcrum of this wonderful relationship between the United Kingdom and India, both in terms of trade and investment flows, but also in terms of the strategic engagement that we have between the two countries, and which has been further strengthened over the last 6 to 8 months with the signing of the Technology and Security Initiative. And it's great to have Shri Kapoor here with us this evening, who will be flying to London in a few days' time to take stock of the situation in terms of almost like a 6-monthly review of where we are on the India-UK TSI roadmap. But a lot of exciting things have happened over the last 6 months. And just to put things in perspective, the importance of TSI and technology in general for us, with the new government that came in the summer of 24, it became quite evident when our Foreign Secretary promised to visit Delhi in his first 4 weeks of taking charge, and he did that in 3 weeks. He was in Delhi in July. And apart from all the other engagements, one of the key engagements on this visit, on his 24-hour visit to Delhi, was to sign the TSI initiative. And that says a lot about the importance that our government places on this initiative. But even before that, just going a step back, in terms of our engagement on technology and science more broadly during the world of COVID, when things were going pear-shaped, it was wonderful to see how AstraZeneca and University of Oxford and Serum Institute came together, a wonderful example of India-UK scientific collaboration to ensure that we had some wonderful vaccines available to keep us safe and secure. And we have more such examples. More recently, the anti-malarial vaccine has been a good story of, again, collaborative working. But even in the world of technology, as we go back, Carly mentioned about the Bangalore Tech Summit. So we had an AI and semiconductor delegation here in November, forging collaborations and looking for partnerships. But before that, we had London Tech Week, which is one of the primary tech events in the UK, where we had a delegation of over 200 Indian tech companies looking for partnerships and looking to invest further in that market. So the tech story is here, and the tech story is growing. But so what is TSI? Everybody's talking about it. So TSI is basically a strategic roadmap for us in terms of working very closely with India on key sectors, which includes semiconductors, quantum, we have AI, cyber, and bioeconomics and more, and future telecom as well. And some of these areas, it's great to be here in ISC today. So we have some of the areas we're already working here. We've been working with ISC for a long time now in the world of intelligent transport, in the world of future telecoms, 5G and 6G, as well as in areas of sustainability as well. So there's lots being done. There's lots still happening. And particularly want to talk about the AI opportunities roadmap that we have now set up for ourselves. There's a big focus over the last few weeks. You would have heard from our Prime Minister. His focus on AI is something that's going to support us and our government in our way forward towards bringing in more operational efficiency and trying to see how we can leverage AI for the benefit of the country in general. So I'll stop there for the moment and happy to take any further questions. Thank you
so much. Thanks so much, Chandru. Actually, that gives a lot of space for us to cover. We'll come back to it. Before I come to the Indian representative, Dr. Rama Bansal, I would like to take Dr. Soren so that we'll have a concluding word, Dr. Rama. So the Green Strategic Partnership is at a highest level announcement. So would like to cover that in your opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me here. It's a real privilege to sit up here. About 2 years ago, Denmark had its first Nobel Prize winner, and some of my colleagues from the consulate, they asked me to see if I could make him come here, and I said that was impossible. His calendar would be filled out, but he was actually here in this very auditorium last year, and I sat down there and heard his keynote. So it's just an example of if you want to meet Nobel Prize winners, then India is the place to go. Apparently, yeah, that's kind of symbolic that I had to go all the way here to meet a Danish Nobel Prize winner. Probably the closest I will ever get to a Nobel Prize. But so I have a lot of good memories. We actually also had a seminar last year here on battery and energy storage together with my Nordic colleagues. Norway is also here today. So it's a fantastic place to be. I'm the Science Council from Denmark. I'm located here in Bangalore. Denmark has what we call an innovation center in India. We have 7 innovation centers across the world, 2 in the US and Tel Aviv and Shanghai and Korea and so on. And in India, it's here in Bangalore, and it's my task together with the team to facilitate research collaboration between India and Denmark. And that is actually across all areas and across entire India. So it's a bit of a task when you're just a handful of employees. But the way we do it is that we have each year, we define a few areas that we focus on, and then things also occur during the year. But that's the way it works, and it's a financed by the Ministry of Science and Higher Education in Denmark and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it is really implemented science diplomacy. And the reason we do it is because Denmark is a very small country. We are 6 million people. We cannot stand alone, and having this type of collaboration is super important, especially when you're a small country. There's absolutely no way we can have an impact on the world if we don't have good partners. And luckily, India is a very good partner for us. We have, as you mentioned, the Joint Strategic Partnership, which is a very high-level political agreement signed by our two prime ministers a few years back. In that agreement, there's also an action plan, and in that action plan, there are a number of elements in science, technology, and innovation. You can find it online. It's very broad in the way it's formulated, so it's our job at the Innovation Center to implement some of these ideas and make them very concrete. But in overall, the philosophy is to work on the sustainability agenda. So we have been doing a lot of projects within green fuels, and Denmark also has bilateral agreements with India on research collaboration, industrial research collaboration. We have had I think 4 or 5 calls altogether. The last 2 ones have been on green fuels, green hydrogen in particular, and now we're in the process of defining the next call that will come out in a year and a half or 2. Of course, we also look into what was mentioned in some of the things in the introductory speeches on entrepreneurship. We work a lot with the startups, both on the Danish and the Indian side. India's talent pool is a focus area for us this year because we have seen that many of the companies that are here in India are not here for the market; they're actually here for the talent. And in that aspect, educational institutes and research institutes play a very important role. So that's an area where we will try to do even more projects this year. There are, of course, challenges when we do this. It can be regulation, it can be IP, there can be many things we need to also solve. Cultural differences, funding issues. When you're a researcher, you always want more funding. I've been a researcher myself, so I know how it is. And of course that's required if you want to do anything as a researcher. So bilateral calls, I would of course like that we have even more, but that's a political process that's a little bit out of my hand. Besides that, I think the collaboration is going fantastic with India, and we really enjoy being here with the team we have, and we're looking forward also to. I have a year and a half left to put my little mark here in India. So looking forward to the dialogue.
Thanks so much, Dr. Saren. So there's a reason why we brought the Indian speaker at the end, because now that we heard from these partner countries saying their ongoing partnerships and what they have in terms of looking at India for technology partnership, how does, from your point of view, India position itself as a most deserving international S&T partner when it comes to these engagements? Your opening remarks, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Shagun. Thank you, team, for including me in this panel. I'm really privileged to be a part of this heritage building, the most prestigious institution of India, and in this particular auditorium, amongst this August gathering. Thank you for that. With regard to the Indian perspective on international technology partnerships, I think most has already been spoken and said today. Our Honorable Minister, the PSA, the NSA, everybody talked about how partnership should be done and what is the drive for India when we talk about the international partnership. So I would like to present my viewpoint. So India, as I see, the main drive for engaging with the technology partnership endeavor is to be a global leader in science, technology, innovation, and also for not just the development, but sustainable development. Because when you talk about India, it is all circular economy, it is the sustainability, the most important thing for us. How these collaborations we do is through various intergovernmental programs. I think it is known to everybody, so I would not focus on that. Again, what we have done in the past decade, so many well-curated technology-specific programs have been launched. Everyone has talked about them. And I'm very happy to note that with all the countries present here, the esteemed panelists, we have those recently launched technology programs, be it with Australia, UK, Denmark, and Italy. And I'm also happy to say that I represent the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, the largest industrial research organization in India. We also have programs with each of your nations. So it's not only the intergovernmental programs which are being managed by the Department of Science and Technology or the Department of Biotechnology, but research institutions are also engaging very, very actively with foreign partners. But when it comes to the CSR-like organizations, the focus is more like towards technology, towards solutions, filling the gap through knowledge, information, technology. So the strategy is different when it comes to the intergovernmental and when it is the institution level collaboration. So bilateral is one, but we also strongly believe that multinational collaboration is a very good way of addressing the common challenges that the world is facing today. And there we have G20, BRICS, the Quad technology engagements, the ASEAN, the IORA, and many more such frameworks. We also know that no one country can develop major science projects, the facilities. So we are there to participate in those programs and initiatives like CERN, like my colleague from Italy mentioned about the program there, and many more of such initiatives. Governments, policies, and initiatives such as Make in India, the Digital India, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, they all encourage, they all provide a framework for enhanced technology partnership and entrepreneurship. Startup sector, as everybody knows, is the largest in India. India is booming in the innovation ecosystem at the moment. And this is where I see that if we engage these startup entrepreneurs with their counterparts in foreign countries, we can leapfrog in this technology development endeavor. What we currently do when we are doing the R&D collaborations, it is primarily, there are calls are announced, be it under strategic programs or otherwise, bilateral level. And under those areas identified in those calls, scientists will submit the proposal. So I would like to strongly advocate, of course, while we should continue this vertical, this way of pursuing collaboration, but we should also look at, it was mentioned today, on technology deployment. Technology deployment is very important, and we need not reinvent the wheel. Those technologies are available with one or the other of us. And we respect the technology prowess of our developed nations and all the countries present here in this panel. However, India has an advantage of cost-effective, fast, and sustainable solutions. You know our space missions. We have done wonderful there. We have done wonderful in the health research. We had the pandemic, and we had the solution for that. I'm happy to mention that CSR also contributed towards vaccine development. And India is the world's pharmacy. So generic drugs again. So there are so many things that India has, and that advantage can be taken by the foreign friendly nations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bansal, for that remark. To break the long addresses, I just have a quick rapid fire, and then we'll go into the question section. If we try to gauge out of the list of technologies that one country would like to engage with India, from each of your perspective, what are the top 3 technologies that you would like to engage with India? Of course, there are deliberations about listing, prioritization, and segments and stakeholders, but just what comes to your mind in terms of the 3 technologies that you think it has to be with India? Maybe we'll start with Soren.
Good question. I think I can see at least within the last, energy has been a major area that we have been collaborating. So electrolyzer technology and a lot of the technologies related to creating green hydrogen and energy storage technologies is probably the number one, if you can call that technology. It's more like a set of technologies, I suppose. Looking forward, I mean, we have for this year different types of space technologies and nanosatellites and areas related to that is probably where we're going to focus. I'm not sure in terms of impact it's and money-wise it's the biggest sector, but it's at least where I have a lot of interest and focus this year. And the third one, I have a urge to say AI, but we haven't actually done much on AI together with India yet. But I can see, I'm pretty sure that AI will be an extremely important asset for India. You have everything here. You have the talent. You have the data. You have you have all the ingredients to make AI solutions. You have the companies also. And I think India is going to be a very important player in that area, and I think it's just for Denmark to try to squeeze our way in there and see if we can make some good, valuable partnerships where we can provide value for India also. But just top of my head, that would be the areas. Pharma, life sciences, of course, a big thing, but I'm not sure which technology I should pinpoint here exactly.
Yeah, 3 already covered.
That's 4.
Need not be factually correct. Just to test the water.
3 plus 1.
Consul General from Italy, please.
Thank you. I don't know if we should always change the technologies, but no, yeah, exactly. No, because I mean, I think it would be also interesting to see if we really overlap in the first thing that comes to mind, because otherwise it would be already the third or fourth thing that comes to mind. I would say that 2 of them are the same. I would think of green hydrogen because you hear the companies on the ground, because we have some projects on the ground. We have both on the academic side, but also on the commercial side. We had Iveco with Blue Energy that started creating green hydrogen trucks in the north of India. So that is definitely, probably the challenge there is the infrastructure. On one side, the creation of green hydrogen, more, let's say, scalable and cheaper electrolyzer. But on the other side, the infrastructure, because it's not an easy material to move around. And so probably there the challenge is to see if we can use it for example, the cars, or as other people say, rather maybe big trucks or big infrastructure that will have less nodal points for distribution. My colleague also mentioned AI, and I have to agree, maybe again in combination with the DPI. India is a powerhouse in the creation and implementation of DPI. It was one of the strong horse that they put forward, that the EU put forward, that the G20 was also part of that exercise. So I think this is definitely coming forward. And well, no, you also mentioned space, but I would say space is also not a technology in particular. We have many collaborations there, but maybe in the biotechnology, antibiotics resistance, there's
Space
also
food.
Excuse me?
Space food.
Space food.
I think Italy was the only country that had that.
Yeah, I have lyophilized lasagna here if you would like to. Kidding. No, I did try some space food because we had a space exhibition at the Science Gallery for the last 40 days. Actually, this weekend is the last weekend. If you want to go see what Italy does in space, you can go to the, sorry for the little to the Science Gallery Bengaluru, and there's this exhibition for the last 2 days. And on the opening, we had also some space food. It was really terrible. So it was really absurd. So I hope more yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure the view of the Earth from there is beautiful, but the food is not it's to die for. Yeah.
Literally, I gather. Thank you. It's a tough question. I might frame it. I might answer you in a slightly indirect way because I'm a diplomat, so you'll forgive me for that. I might talk about objectives and then the technologies that support those objectives. So I think for us, clean renewable energy is just such an important sector, and there's a range of technologies that could get picked up. But that's just so essential. And so I would sort of put that as a cluster, I suppose. Critical minerals is part of that. There's a range of other technologies as well. Cybersecurity is going to be an increasing challenge for all of us, and so that's something that I think cuts across all of the other technologies as well. It's a sort of a horizontal, if you like. And then Australia and India, we share, we're Indian Ocean nations, and so I guess I think about us as being partners in the Indian Ocean, and we share an interest in maritime domain awareness and broader prosperity in the region and the technologies that support that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please.
Thank you, Shagun. It'll be unfair on the TSI if I just pick up 3 out of that, because there's a lot of hard work that has gone into it to identify those 7 areas where we'll be looking to focus on. And I think each of the areas are really, really important for us and for India. So yeah, I think it's telecom. We'll be looking to work more closely in that area. It's an area where UK does a lot of work with India very closely. So we'll be looking to focus more on that. Critical minerals is again an area where India is looking to develop more, and we want to see how we can collaborate in that area as well. Semiconductors, there are certain aspects of semiconductors where, for example, compound semiconductors and stuff like that, where we like to see how we can make further progress. Then, of course, AI. AI was something that was, even in our previous government, our previous Prime Minister was very focused on that, and that story has been taken forward by our current government. So, AI is a big focus. And biotech, bioeconomy, and health tech, so we have been running, so very interestingly enough, we have been running for the last 2 years a boot camp for health tech companies in India. And it has been extremely successful. The last 2 years, we've identified over 500 Indian health tech companies with some phenomenal offerings, having global ramifications in terms of how they can support not just the needs of India or the United Kingdom, but globally. So that's an area where we're looking to focus. And of course, the list goes on. Then advanced materials and
Three.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, sometimes when you have multiple children, it's very difficult to say these are my favorite ones. So
certainly, that's not supposed to be a factual question. Yeah, so it was just a rapid.
All the 7 areas are important to us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now to Dr. Bansal, the reason how this rapid fire is going, it's not to actually have the same question to you, because that's how strategically we are not going to answer that. So what we are going to do with you right now is to see how these evolving models of technology engagements are shaping up. When we come back in the same sequence, what we would like to understand through this panel, it's also interesting for the delegates here, is the evolving nature of the technology diplomacy itself. Of course, it's a term that's not conventionally used, but because we are discussing today, we are using the term, but we see this has been evolving continuously, and it is closely connected to how we understand what is critical and emerging technology for each country. And something that we believe is the definition of critical and emerging technology is not going to be the same for each country, because the countries are going to look at it from their country's perspective. So given that context, how do you see the evolving nature of technology partnership that is changing with respect to, let's say, India, and with respect to CSIR as an organization with all the labs? To you.
Technology partnership is changing. Technology is becoming obsolete very fast. So we need to accelerate the pace of not only technology development, tech development by self, of course, will take time. So we would like to have 1 + 1, not 2, but 11. So therefore, collaboration is very important. Evolvement will happen all the time. It's a continuous process. It's a learning process. So as you said, areas will keep changing, but perhaps the frameworks we need to be conscious about. And I would like to again talk about addressing the problem. So problem-centric approach, if we can take. So I was looking at Norway, for example. Every university is focusing on a problem of a common man. In a store which is having some problem with the refrigeration, that problem is being solved by the scientists, researchers of a university. So it's not just the industry or a research organization like CSIR, the academic sector is also working. So we have to have that bend of mind to address a problem. And blue sky research, of course, everything is equally important. We need Max Planck, but we need Fraunhofer. So there has to be a balance in that. But if we can address more towards these sectors, and I would, however, like to touch upon those areas which I would like to say. Cybersecurity for sure, because especially for India, we say digital India, it's all the more important for us. Air traffic is increasing day by day with bursting population, enhanced capacity of India. Civil aviation is a sector where we need to have tie-ups done very urgently. We have been talking to our director, National Aerospace Laboratory. There are so many requirements we have for collaboration, and of course, I'm sure in space as well. And I think that's it. I'll end.
No, thank you. I think that actually covers the whole round, and I'm going to add some nuance when the mic gets passed on. Excellency Chandru, the thing is about how a country articulates based on the understanding of critical and emerging technology and the strategy, outward-looking strategy. And one thing that we were part of and we have noticed also, UK has announced international technology strategy. And it was released, I think, last year later. And then that is shaping the engagements, particularly with key countries like India. So how do you see that kind of an overarching national strategy, outward-looking technology engagement strategy shapes engagements of diplomats like you in India?
That's a very loaded question. I spoke a bit about the TSI, and TSI is something that's really, really of paramount importance for us. But I think what I want to say is talk about a few things which kind of talks about the importance of TSI from a broader perspective. The fact that we are not just looking at TSI in isolation. We, as His Majesty's government, we are looking at TSI from the point of view of how does it support our own economic growth back home. We want to look at from that perspective. We also want to link it up with our bilateral relationship with India in terms of our comprehensive strategic partnership that we have, and that is something being discussed. So how does TSI form an integral part of those kind of discussions? We are relaunching our FTA discussions with India. Now, even in that framework, how does TSI be a game changer? So there's something for us to look at. And just to add to that, the fact that it was our foreign secretary who came to Delhi to sign the TSI initiative, that gives a lot of expression of interest and importance from the top level of the government that technology and science and security is really, really important for us. Last month, we had the CEO's delegation of CII, which went to London. It was a very high-profile delegation. But again, a lot of focus of that day that the whole delegation got a red carpet welcome by HMG and met up by the Prime Minister and the Chancellor and the Foreign Secretary. But a big focus of that was, again, TSI. There was a session that was hosted by Matt Collins, Shri Kapoor's opposite number. And a lot of those companies, the big boys who are in that room, again, want to explore how does TSI form an integral part of what I'm doing in that market. So a lot of interesting stuff happening. Next week, as Shri Kapoor lands in London, we have a NASSCOM delegation landing there as well. And they're going to have a day full of action, including a roundtable at number 10, hosted by Shri Kapoor and our Deputy NSA, Matt Collins. So I think all those things put together says that TSI is really, really important for us. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about it from Shri Kapoor as well once he's back from London, in terms of where we are and what's the way forward for us.
Great.
Some quick wins and some long-term wins as well coming up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Minister Consul Carley, I'm just going to add one more caveat to it. Australia has released a national list of critical and emerging technologies, which is something that we are also in general fascinated about. Like, we are not going into the details of how it was drafted, why it is critical and emerging for Australia. All of those are in those documents. But from the conversation that we are having today, if that is something shaping Australia's engagement with India, if so, in what way you see this is moving forward will have impact in our partnership?
Thank you very much. You're right, we have a list of critical and emerging technologies in the national interest. That is correct. And, the prism, there's a sort of a tripartite prism, I suppose, that guides the policy around that, which is around national security and economic prosperity and social cohesion, and that's kind of the way in which it's framed. But if your question's about how we conceptualise sort of technology diplomacy, I guess it starts with shared interests and then it moves to complementary strengths, would be the way I would describe it. So, we are, not a country that has the same scale as some. And so we need to work out where our jigsaw pieces are the most powerful and where we can get the most bang for our buck. Perhaps a good example for us is last year, Prime Ministers Modi and Albanese announced a renewable energy partnership in the margins of the G20 in Rio. And that's about finding those interlocking jigsaw pieces about how we can best identify our complementary strengths to achieve those shared objectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to add another twist, sorry. Consul General. It's
I'm
a very
already
easy
scared.
one.
Looks like you studied every nation very well. So
I'm trying to understand the evolving models of technology diplomacy. I think it perfectly fits in the flow that we are going in. As we know, Trieste in Italy has been a center of mega sciences globally. And for India to participate in blue sky research, and that's been one of the entry points. So from that model of how Italy-India bilateral technology engagements and basic sciences, future-looking engagements are shaped through large multilateral scientific projects, if you could comment on that.
Yes, with pleasure. In a way, yes, this is a clear example of how complementarity can work for the best of, in this case, two nations, but all the nations we collaborate with Trieste. In particular, we had a strong capital-intensive center that was used by a large pool of talented scientists from the world, and in this case, in particular, from India. So, of course, this is a good way forward in which you say, okay, let's put together our strength. India has, again, a lot of startups, a mass of great scientists, etc. Maybe Italy, in some areas, is still in capital-intensive machines a little ahead, and we can complement in this way. But then you mentioned also the multilateral, let's say, aspect of it. And I want to congratulate what Dr. Bansal said a while ago. I think it's important in a day like this, in a room like this, to stress the importance of multilateralism. In particular, in the last couple days, no reference meant, but I think that really, in particular with reference to science, we are all here representing our own nations, and of course we all pull for our nations, and together we progress. But I think that without sounding too let's say, John Lennon-y, but the multilateral aspect of science cooperation is paramount because in subjects like ethical AI, like cybersecurity, like antibiotic resistance, etc., only through, I mean, the bilateral collaboration is not enough. So Trieste is a good example, but I think moving forward, we should always remember how important it is to collaborate also through international organizations like World Health Organization, UNESCO, etc. So bilateral is important, but multilateral is probably even more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Soren, I think to add to the perspective of Denmark here, we also see how the mission engagements when it comes to science and technology in India is evolving through different models. Earlier, we used to have science attaches, technology attaches, innovation attaches. Then there are innovation centers. And Denmark is one of those countries with ICDK, the Innovation Center, as a standalone technology and innovation diplomacy entity within the diplomatic political entity. How do you see this model working out as a partnership for you with India?
Also a good question. Yeah, so I think the name in itself maybe is a little bit misleading, calling it an innovation center, because we don't do any innovation at all. We are just we're just matchmakers. So we can bring people to the table who are doing all the innovation. I think for us, I think it's, I mean, for Denmark in general, this way has been working quite well. Of course, there are some clashes because I've referred to Ministry of Science, who has their type of agenda. I also refer to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then they have another type of agenda. So we have a lot of stakeholders. We also need to address the needs of the Indian counterparts, of course. So even though we are merely facilitators, facilitating can be quite complex in itself. I think for a small country like Denmark, I think there's no real alternative, but I would also like to support your argument that we cannot do it. I mean, we are totally dependent also on EU Horizon funding and other types of international forums because we have a budget, but it's so limited that we cannot finance any research ourselves. So we can find the money and we can find the people and we can put them together and we can try to push things so they go a little bit faster than or facilitate. And that's all what we can do. But for us, there's I don't think there's no alternative to that.
So the ICDK is how many years old in India out of the 7 centers?
Yeah, I should know that because I actually looked it up just a few days ago. I think we started in Silicon Valley, and I think maybe in India it's 8 years ago. We're not the biggest center. I think the ones we have in the US, especially in Silicon Valley, is bigger. But we like to think that we're the most important because we have a good partnership here. Not so much drama. Enough said about that. And we're not the smallest either. So I think. Looking across the 7 innovation centers, I feel quite fortunate that I actually ended up here. I had no understanding of India or Indian science landscape before arriving here, so a steep learning curve also for me.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Soren. So what we will do now is quickly take opportunity to check if there are any questions and comments and remarks to this panel. And we'll take that up, and then we'll go for the concluding session of this panel. Yes? If somebody could pass on the mic, or if you could... Yeah.
My question is to Australian Council. Ma'am, like you said, Australia has huge reservoir of critical minerals, and there has been all these emerging and critical technologies are based on those critical minerals. So, how do you see that unfolding in the future between India and Australia, especially in the context of love-hate relationship of Australia with China that is recently been happening? So, how Australians would navigate that in context of critical minerals?
None of these questions are curated by us.
Thank you for your question. Noted. No. Thank you for your question. I think it would be uncontroversial to say that diversification of supply chains is an objective we all share for a range of reasons. I think you're quite right. Australia. Just one key statistic that I like to quote pretty regularly is we have more than 50% of the world's lithium, but there's obviously a range of other critical minerals as well. I think we're with a number of others on a journey where we know how to get it out of the ground, and we know where the sort of the end stage is, and it's that middle stage of processing. I think is where we're all having a lot of conversations. I may or may not have been having this conversation on the plane with one of the delegates, which is about how we all work together with these complementary strengths that each of our like-minded partners has to figure out what bit of that chain, up and down that chain, and where we can slot in best. I'm not exactly sure what the answer is, but I do know that it can't possibly be done in isolation. And so using things like Make in India, Future Made in Australia, and various other domestic equivalents, and finding where those pieces lock in the most complementary way. So I think it's a really sharp question and something we're going to continue to be challenged by for the near and perhaps longer term. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take from the gentleman in the left. The third row in this left segment. Yeah, you're audible. Please go on.
Thank you very much for the nice, policy level activities and all oversight from various countries. It's various countries are having various levels of, policies, bilateral policies, and there's a multitude of these things which are getting implemented. What are your suggestions from all the countries towards accelerating this implementation? So whenever they are implemented, how do we accelerate them, and especially towards India?
Okay. If anybody would like to touch upon the implementation aspects and accelerating them, or we'll take one more question and collectively you can respond to it.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah, please go on. Yeah. Could you introduce yourself before you?
My name is Ravishankar Chandu. I am the President, Society for Engineering Education. Indians have some strange psychology. You invite them, ask them to sit on the stage. You ask them, do you love me? Most of them say, yes, we love you.
If you could
Now,
directly go to the question, please.
Question is, if strategically aligning with India or collaborating with India helps them, they say Indians are great. At times, collaborating with India, sometimes it is against their strategic thinking, they'll say no. Is it that way?
No, I think that question would be answered in a highly diplomatic way, which we'll understand only tomorrow morning. So I myself are saying that I can write that example and give it to you by email. If there is one more question, we'll take that up. And here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sudipto. I'm from NASSCOM. I work in the public policy team in NASSCOM. It's a trade body representing the IT sector. So I heard about the discussion around the importance of multilateralism. But if you look at the ground reality, there's a very strong school of thought which in fact is examining how much United Nations as a multilateral body is able to perform in terms of building a consensus amongst nations. I'll just give you an example. When India was chairing the G20 summit, and I had the privilege to be party to some of the documentation, it was an extremely difficult task. Given G20 is not a treaty, it does not have a binding effect. So practically, how much do you think this multilateralism is going to work, given there are like different geopolitical tensions? And obviously there is a legacy of different, some countries are developing nations, so they are at different stage of the graph of economic growth. So the differences are only increasing. So I don't want to sound negative, but I just want to understand.
But is there a question to the panel?
Yeah, this is the question, that
Okay.
how do we actually go beyond the theory of multilateralism being really an important thing?
Okay, with this, we'll see if there are any reflections from the panel to all the three.
Hello. Sorry, it looks like you were looking at me, so I felt call into cause. Well, you're perfectly right, but I think my answer is, what is the alternative? If you go to a difficult neighborhood India is pretty safe, and you don't have a lot of criminality, but there are cities in the world which are, where criminality is strong. And then you say, yeah, you see, but the police is not working, there's no social fabric, everybody's against each other. And then, okay, let's just go ahead in this and let's not do anything to try to... The point is, yes, multilateralism as of now is not making it. The forces are strong of nationalism. But how do we... once we realize that multilateralism, at least for me, and I hope for many people, is the better choice, how do we strive towards that direction in a way? Because there were times, maybe 50, 70 years ago, in which everybody was more aligned in that direction. Again, not always. So, in a way, in everyday, in our life, I think in the family, in society, in school, reinforcing the importance of this. There's a wave of nationalism, unfortunately, I think, around the world, that we can fight through civil society, through our education, through our school, but also in terms of just means. I have this conversation often also with friends when they say, for example, the European Union, it doesn't work, it's too weak on this, it's too weak on that. What are the competencies that we gave to European Union? As of now, basically almost just the commercial side. They say, it's very weak on foreign policy. We didn't give the foreign policy to the EU. How much money do we give to the EU? 1% of the GDP of each country. So imagine you want to create a club and say, okay, you these are our representatives, you will fight for us. I will give you 1% of my budget. What do you think we can do? The World Health Organization has a budget which is smaller than a mid-range US hospital. What do you think they could do? Of course there's waste. Of course there are mismanagement, like everywhere. If you go to the next police station, of course you have one corrupt cop, you have some mismanagement, you have somebody who doesn't show up at work, but you also have people who do. So probably if you fund them more, if you support them more, their performance will increase. And again, coming back to the start, what's the alternative? We just go one against each other. So we see the problem. Multilateralism is struggling. But to me, the answer is, let's help. EU is not as strong as it should be. Actually, by the way, I think the big elephant, the missing elephant in the room is the EU here. How many of you know that the EU is the biggest trading partner of India? Not many. Maybe you know because you're scientists, but people don't know. People think that the EU is just regulations. Collectively, we are the biggest trading partner of India. And again, so when people say EU is not strong enough, let's help more, let's fund more. I think that united we are stronger, but sorry.
No. Yeah, Chandra, please. Yeah. You can return the bike with you. Okay.
So I think I can take a stab at the first question about accelerating the relationship, especially in the area of technology. And since it's about UK and India, now I can't stop talking about cricket. The cricket analogy is about, it's very important in any relationship to have that first run on the board. The last thing you want is to get out on a duck. So, to make that happen, I think a slow and steady start is important. You start off as a test match and probably play the rest of the thing as a one day and then finish it off as a T20. I think that kind of a model would work exceptionally well for accelerating any relationship, and more so in the world of technology. So I'll probably stop there.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody else in the panel who want to? No, okay. We do have just one final question, and then we'll go for the. All men ask this question, so we'll go for this official here.
Thank you so much for the insightful discussion. My question is very simple. Everybody talked about Make in India. So diplomatically, are we also talking about transfer of technology? Because that has been debatable for a long number of debates. So it's a question to both India side and the partner countries. Thank you.
The specific is the challenges involved in transfer of technologies?
Not just the challenges involved. Are we working more as a part of Make in India? It's just the setup of the factory or also the transfer of the technology?
I see. Is there anyone on panel who would like to touch upon transfer of technologies? I'm not giving this because I have to conclude.
Sorry. I spoke enough, but briefly, you want? Sorry. In our case, but I think in all our cases, every time a company moves here to produce here sorry, I lost who was the to produce in India. That is a transfer of technology. You partner with an Indian company, you share capital, you share technology, you share knowledge, and so this is actually happening all the time. Of course, it's not something super quick, but it's something that is slowly growing, and it's actually two ways. Because, for example, Italy is a powerhouse in manufacturing, so this goes very well together with Make in India. India kind of leapfrogged and almost skipped the second sector. No? So you're very strong in services and you have a large agricultural workforce. So we are helping a lot in manufacturing. But for example, in AI, DPI, and digital technology, we are actually learning from India. So it's a two-way mechanism that is happening. Maybe it could happen faster, but it has been happening. And let's well.
Kelly, Minister Council, you wanted to? Yeah.
I think that's a good answer, and I think that in particular there are sectors where each country can engage with India from its area of particular expertise. So and this often happens through trade negotiation. Of course, this is. I guess at the heart of your question is how we can make our trade negotiation work to enable exactly what you're asking, and how can those negotiations best support India and India's agenda for domestic production and indigenous technologies.
Okay, thank you. You have anything which, no? Okay. I wanted to ask Dr. Bansal while she's attending to that. Okay. From the Indian side, if you'd like to just comment on that point, and then we'll go for a final round of comment. If you could use the mic, please. Yeah.
It's very much there in every Indian's heart. And there are both the models existing, both with transfer and without, mostly without.
Great. If we could just continue that, Dr. Bansal, as a continuation for your concluding remarks. I'm just going to pose it like maximum of, let's say, 40 to 50 seconds, each one of you. What would be your measure of success when it comes to technology partnership in India going forth? If that could be captured in your concluding remarks, that would actually give us a lot of insight. For Indian side, I think if you could also say what would be measure of success for India to have technology partnership internationally. I'll begin with you.
Measure to success is increase in the happiness index of people.
Wow. Okay. Altruistic. We'll pass on to Chandru then.
Thank you. So I think I'll refer back to the TSI, and what we're looking to do there is to create a secure and resilient technology ecosystem between the two countries, and all the work that we do in that area towards that goal will be super important for us. I think while we look to address some of the challenges, our own independent challenges, but while also focusing on the global issues, will be of paramount importance to us. So really excited about the TSI and the next phases coming up in that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Councillor. The measure of success.
Oh, thank you. I mean, obviously, within the sort of more strategic goal of, safety and prosperity, I think agility is a KPI because someone said earlier, I think it might have been you, Mamji, that it's so fast moving. And so, in some ways, a KPI is to stay on top of it and stay ahead of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, the measure of success would be to see more Italy here in the way that, I mean, I mentioned about the relationship with the researchers. We had 1,000 researchers from ISC going to Italy in the past few decades. We have more and more students going to Italy to study. I would like to see more Italian researchers here. I would like to see more Italian students here. It is happening, but it's happening too slow. It's our duty here, of course, to also not only to show the best of Italy here with our events, etc., but also to explain to Italy what India is. I think there's still a lot that I don't know if India has to do or the world has to do. I don't know who has to do the homework, but the world still, I think, need the world, maybe the West or whatever you want to say, still need to have a clear picture of what India is today. There's still a lot of old, let's say, perception, and so. I would like to see Italian students dreaming to come and studying here, and not just or mostly the other way around.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saran. The measure of success in Denmark-India technology partnership.
Now I would actually like to copy you on this one because we would also like to see, we have I think 5 Danish students in India, so that's way too little. But if I have to, I mean, if I should put on the really big perspective here, then of course, if we really manage, if we're really serious about that we can develop technologies together, then coming up with an Indo-Danish or European Indian solution on some of the most pressing challenges like, let's say, climate. I don't know exactly what that could be, but imagine that we could go together and actually solve some of the problems so they would be something that we don't have to worry about anymore. That would be fantastic.
Great, makes sense. Thank you so much. And I had the absolute pleasure of being in this panel and asking you all these questions. And I look forward to continuing this conversation also along with all the delegates who are present here off the stage as well. And again, thank you so much. Dr. Pansalia.
I took only 4-5 seconds, so I thought I can use.
Yeah, please have the final word. Thank you.
What I wanted to just request and submit is, it was a wonderful panel discussion. Very interesting thought process has come out. Some pathways to move ahead. Maybe we can continue with such discussion with the same panel. We can change the countries. And maybe next time when the same panel meets, they come up with more problems which we can resolve together.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
maybe I also have 4 or 5 seconds left. No, just to just to add to what just I said. I'm here since 3 years, and I've seen there was a moment in which I've seen a strong start of changing of perspective of India from the West, and I would say this was because you put India on the moon. Really, Dr. Somnath, no, congratulations. As I think humankind often needs symbols, no? And when the US went there first, all the world realized that India is where it is. Also, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the second mic I gave it to Delhi, but I got it back. Thank you so much, the panelists, the speakers, the delegates, and all who actually participated in this panel. Okay, there is going to be a group photo of the panel. Thank you. So we look forward to the second day, and please be assembled in this room tomorrow for the sessions. Also, any communication that you want to convey as part of this panel, please do write to us. We'll be happy to connect and then have the responses taken. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, thank you.